Welcome to the F&D Mastery Podcast, where we discuss cutting-edge techniques, industry trends, and business insights to take your fence or deck company to the next level and dominate your competition. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the F&D Mastery Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Danner. And if you've listened to the podcast before, you know we do a couple of different types of episodes, some that are directly focused on digital marketing, something that I might say directly and kind of discuss myself. But lately, you probably noticed I bring a lot of industry experts onto the podcast so we can share some new and interesting things for fence and deck owners to help them grow their business and, just be more efficient and more profitable. So today I have another industry expert that I'm very excited about. Super excited he was able to join, and especially so quickly. My special guest is Jonathan Mast, who is one of the best sources of AI that I know of, somebody that I follow consistently and learn a lot from. And he's also the owner of Whitebeard Strategies. So Jonathan, I really appreciate you joining the podcast and coming on here. How's it going today?
Great. Thank you for having me on, Alex. I'm excited to be here and hopefully share some tips about AI. I know it's something a lot of business owners have questions about, and how do they use it? How should they use it? What benefits can it have? So yeah, I'm excited to chat today. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Yeah, no problem. And if anyone's curious, so Jonathan and I, we are part of the same mastermind with that's tailored for just digital marketing agencies, has some of the top digital marketing agencies in the world. And we all get together 3 times a year to, talk shop. And then every other day of the year, we're talking through Facebook groups and all that stuff too. So constantly learning from each other and things like that. And, Jonathan's got a really large following pretty quickly. I don't know if he'll agree if it was that quick or not, but to me, it seemed really fast. So he's doing all kinds of content on AI. And Jonathan, you just tell me, I guess, a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background.
Sure. No, I'd be happy to. Thanks for asking. So I always joke, I've been in this digital marketing world for a long time. I sold my first website actually in 1995. And I love to tell people I earned all this white hair. So I've been around for a bit. I'm a sales and marketing guy by nature. And so I got into it because I really wanted to help businesses generate more leads, grow their business. And as I was in the sales side of things, I saw that a lot of times the marketing department and the marketing teams just they didn't understand what sales was doing, and they didn't understand how those fit together. And so I got involved in that, started my first agency in 2010 after working for a number of others. And then most recently, really got totally enamored with AI when I started seeing some of the possibilities that it could bring to businesses. And I really focus on helping businesses figure out how they can leverage AI to really save time, to increase their profit margins, and to deliver more value to their clients. And the cool thing is AI lets us do all those at the same time. So while I was at my other agency, I started playing around with that. As you know, I'm also big into personal branding and making sure that you're seen as that go-to expert in your niche, and AI also can help with that. And so I stepped away from my last agency this past summer, now about 9 months ago, and am now solely focused on working with other businesses and helping them figure out how to use AI, and specifically AI prompts, to benefit their business and to grow their business. And we'll talk today about different ways to do that. And I think probably one of the things that I do that is a little different than most is I'm not out there selling any tools. In fact, I recommend people use the basic tools, things like ChatGPT and Google Gemini and Claude. And we can talk about a few others, but it's really focused on the simplicity. And I try to give really actionable things because being an entrepreneur myself, I love it when if I can learn something that I can say, okay, today I can go do this and take some positive action. To me, that's really beneficial. And so that's my hope today, and as well as when I'm working with my clients, is to help them take really simple, straightforward, actionable steps. Leveraging AI as a tool, just like your fence and deck builders are using hammers and saws and drills and all the tools that they use. Putting the sill plate on and making sure that it's level. In the old days it was a level, now it's probably a laser light. Those are new tools that come out, and I really see AI in the same exact way. It's a tool, and it's a tool that helps make us better at what we're already good at.
Yeah. Yep. And it's amazing when you first try it out, if you're trying out ChatGPT, you'll be amazed pretty quickly at what it comes up with. But then if you start, what I've noticed, what's
and you're going to elaborate on this a lot too, but what amazes me is when I'm thinking of just some kind of miscellaneous task, if I'm like trying to write an email, or even if you're trying to write a response to a review, or pretty much anything, for the
Yes.
vast majority of cases, I'm like, well, ChatGPT would probably make this process way faster at a minimum, if not write something better than I could do. So it's definitely amazing. I know there's some fence and deck owners that have kind of gotten into it and tested it. I definitely don't think it's mainstream in this niche. It's not a lot of people using it. So if you could just kind of tell, so everyone knows kind of that's might not know too much about AI, maybe like the history of it and, when it got
Sure.
started and kind of how we got to where we are today.
Absolutely. Well, first, I want to encourage you, if you're not using AI yet, or if you're not using it very much, don't feel like you've been left behind. A study just came out last week showing that only about 13% of businesses are actually using AI. And a lot of those businesses are, kind of that leading edge. If you've ever seen those trend analysis of when people adopt and all that, it's the early adopters that are really starting to use AI right now. And so if you're not in your business, or you're not using it regularly, you haven't missed out. There's still plenty of time. There's lots of opportunity. And, like you said, Alex, I'd love to talk just a little bit about history and where we got. I'm going to date myself here, but I've got the white hair, so I can do that. The AI that we have today is not the AI that we saw in the Terminator movies. If you're old enough to remember those Terminator movies when those came out, that's not what we have today. The AI that we have today, if you would think about it, is really like the most vast encyclopedia that you could ever imagine, with almost instantaneous recall. And it's important to understand the difference, because I think a lot of people, business owners especially, we get concerned about AI, and is this going to take away jobs? Is this going to overtake it? Is this going to outthink what I'm doing? And my answer is it's no different. And again, I'm not a deck builder, but I'm going to compare it to the little bit that I know about building. If you built decks the same way that you built decks back in 1950 today, with the same tools you had in 1950 and we're using them today, you could still build a deck. But my guess is that using modern day tools, we can build a deck much faster, and probably a much better deck than we could, maybe more sturdy, more stable, whatever, than what we could have done back in 1950. And you may be going, Jonathan, AI wasn't around in 1950. What are you talking about? No, it wasn't, but it's changing so fast that literally I see it as the same type of tool. And those businesses that are going to, act like an ostrich and not acknowledge that it exists, I do think take that risk of being that deck builder that's using 1950 tools. Instead, take a look at it and start utilizing it. So AI has actually been around a lot longer than most of us realize. We started talking about it last year, just over a year ago, when ChatGPT came out. And the reason we did is because they gave us a better interface to integrate with AI. But AI's been around for a long time. And I'm guessing that virtually everybody that's listening to this podcast has already used it, whether they thought about it or not. Simple things. Have you ever on your computer used a spelling checker, or maybe Grammarly to check your grammar? If you've used that, you've used AI. How many of you on your phone have ever used your GPS on your phone to help get somewhere? If you've used that, you've used AI. The reason is because you've got essentially artificial intelligence in both of those cases, either analyzing the document that you're writing, or analyzing the route that you're going to take in order to be the best and do the best job there. And those are very early versions of AI. Now they're continuing to expand and get better and better. But again, if you've used those things, a grammar checker, a spell checker, use GPS on your phone, you've already been using AI without even realizing that you were doing it. What's happened now is we have a much better interface. And so we have the ability now to easily query and ask questions of it. Alex, you made a great point. One of my favorite things to do with AI is to help me write better emails, because I will readily admit I'm an adult with ADD. I got diagnosed at 43. My brain doesn't want to take the time to put in what it should to respond appropriately to every email that I get. It's not that I don't want to be appropriate, I don't want to be professional, but I've got 17 other bright, shiny objects I'm chasing, and I don't want to do that on that email. And ChatGPT, and by the way, when I say that for the audience, I'm going to use the word ChatGPT. That applies equally to almost every model that is out there. There's 4 major models, by the way, if you're not familiar with it. There's ChatGPT, There's Google's Gemini. There's Claude by a company called Anthropic. And then there's a product called Perplexity. You may not have heard of anything other than ChatGPT, but all four of those are major models that are out there. And if you're going to get involved, those are the only things you need to be concerned with. And you don't even need to be concerned with all of them. You can start with just one. So when I say ChatGPT, it really applies to all of those models. But if I always say ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and Perplexity, people are going to go, okay, Jonathan, enough. So again, historically, we now just have better interfaces that make it easier for us to ask questions. So when I get that email from Alex that I need to respond to, Alex, instead of now sitting there and spending 5 or 10 minutes pondering the best way to respond, I can take your email, I can copy and paste it into ChatGPT, and I can say, help me write a response that says the following. And ChatGPT is going to kick out an email that in all likelihood is 98% of the way there, just within seconds. Now, do you want to proof it? Yes, you still want to proofread it because sometimes it will make mistakes, sometimes it'll make assumptions. It's really a lot, Alex, just like working together and collaborating with somebody on your team. If I send somebody to go ahead while I'm building a project to go get me some materials and I don't describe well enough what those are, then it's all likely they're going to bring back the wrong tool or the wrong things, especially if that person hasn't been working with me a long time. AI is the same way. If you don't give it perspective and reference and background, it sometimes is going to give you the wrong information. And we need to remember that just like I can't read my wife's mind and she can't read mine, AI can't read my mind either. And therefore I can't, it's unfair of me to go, well, goodness, I asked it to do that and it sucked. Well, that's because it didn't have any background, any relevant information. So we need to make sure that as I would communicate with you, Alex, if you and I were working on a project, I want to communicate with AI in the same way. If you and I are going to be creating, a proposal that we're going to send out, I don't just want to say, create a proposal to put a fence around this property and leave it at that. Because if I did that, you'd have a bunch of questions that you'd want to ask me to make sure that we were going to get the right proposal together. ChatGPT, being what it is programmed to make assumptions and fill in the blanks. Because if it acted like a 3-year-old and kept on saying, why, we'd stop using it.
Yeah.
And so it's taught to fill in the blanks. And sometimes, just like what happens with human beings, when we assume, we know what that means. I won't say it on the podcast, but we know what happens when we assume. And that same thing will happen with ChatGPT. So just remember, you've got to give it relevancy and information, but it's an amazingly powerful tool to help you do a lot of different things. My two or three of my favorite uses. One, I mentioned email, helping me write email. I love it for that. I love it being ADD and an entrepreneur. I love it to help me brainstorm. When I have an idea about something, I love to go to ChatGPT and say, hey, act as a business consultant and have a conversation with me about X. I'm thinking about this. Talk to me about it, give me suggestions, and let's brainstorm. And literally, that's what I'll type in. Or nowadays, with their voice module, literally, I may use my phone and I may just say that because it can recognize and transcribe your voice in real time. And by the way, if you want, speak back to you as well. It's just an interface, guys. Don't worry. It's not smart. It's just an interface. Again, it's not your Terminator AI. It is not intelligent per se. But those are two of my favorite. And the third one is an entrepreneur and a business owner that I really love for, and we can talk a little bit more about later, is leveraging AI to help me create better SOPs or standard operating procedures for my company and my team. If I'm sending somebody out, let's say we've got a deck repair or a fence repair to do, there's a protocol I want my team to follow when they arrive at the home. How do they get out of the truck? How do they introduce themselves to the homeowner? Do they introduce themselves to the homeowner? How do they handle fixing the issue? What do they do about the mess that they left or didn't leave? And how about tools? And how about the language they're going to use while they're on the job site? These are all things that probably need to be defined in a standard operating procedure that's available to my team. If you're anything like me, we know that we may have talked about it in team meetings, but maybe I don't have an SOP that's actually documented for it. Now with ChatGPT, I can literally go in and say, in this case, I need to create an SOP that my repair team can use when they're headed out to meet with a homeowner to make a repair on a deck or fence. Here are some things I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about the fact that they make sure they don't have mud on their shoes. I'm concerned about, I want to make sure they introduce themselves to the homeowner if they're there, and I want to give them some guidance on what to say. I want to remind them that they're there representing the company, so they shouldn't be cussing and swearing and drinking and smoking while they're on the job. I want to remind them that if they make a mess, they need to clean the mess up and what that should look like, what's a mess and what's not a mess. And I want to remind them not to leave their tools, because the tools are expensive, and I want to make sure they get back in the truck when they leave, and how to leave that homeowner in a way that that homeowner is likely to give us a 5-star review. I can make that statement to ChatGPT and then say, now please create a comprehensive SOP to encompass this. And you're likely going to get about a 3 to 4 page document back from ChatGPT of all the steps that should be included. I can now review that and then present that to my team, and I can probably have that SOP done in 15 to 20 minutes instead of an entire day of back and forth, meaning I never did it beforehand because it simply took too long. So I don't know if that answered your question or probably did more, but we've been using AI for a long time. We now just can do more with it than we probably ever imagined.
Yeah, no, that's helpful. And I want to get what your opinion on this too. So, because this is what I've been starting to use is on the SEO SOP creation side. We do Loom videos a lot, which if anyone's not sure, it just records your screen and records your voice. So you can pass on a video of like your computer screen and you kind of, giving the instructions. So what I realized and kind of maybe lucked into, I realized that ChatGPT, if you use something like a plugin, like Webpilot, if you ever use that, there's ways to view the video too. So you can basically, I put the Loom video in there and I'm like, listen to this video and write, an SOP based off the video. So we started doing that. And I think for fencing or decking, I'm wondering if that would be helpful too. If maybe you, sorry, go ahead.
I think that's a great hack. And when I say hack, I mean in a very positive way. I just, the other day, I referred to something as a hack in my AI Facebook group, and somebody got offended because they thought I called them a hack. And I'm like, no, it's a hack, as that's a good thing to do. You're absolutely right. If you want to just record a video and walk through how to do that, you can do it on Loom, or you can just grab your phone and you can then feed that video into ChatGPT and say, based upon this video, I want you to go ahead and create an SOP for me. And it will do that. It'll break the video down. It'll analyze what you said and put it in a logical step-by-step format. Again, you still need to review it, but it's like sending it to an assistant that had that video and then understood your industry as well, because again, it has better understanding, and they give it back to you to proof. And the difference is, again, it does it in minutes on the long side and oftentimes seconds in the realistic side. So no, that's a great idea, Alex. And I think something everybody should consider. We've all got our phones in our pocket. We're carrying them around all the time. If you've got an issue, you're out on a job site and you're like, oh, I need to do this, just record a short video. I'm a big fan of Loom like you are. It's a great way to do it. You can download that on your phone. And by the way, guys, it's free. You don't even have to pay for it unless you're going to do long videos. That's a great way to do it, make it available. And like Alex said, you can just feed that right to ChatGPT and you're ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that maybe you could help us out with. So I knew the only way I could figure it out was if there's a physical link. I would say, here's the link to the Loom video. So is there any shortcut for your phone? So if you record a video on your phone, like any best practices to get that video to ChatGPT so they can understand it?
So one of the things that I find works the best with any video like that, but Loom makes it super easy. When I record that Loom, about 30 seconds after it's been recorded, Loom provides me with a transcript of that video. And you can find that really easy. If you just copy and paste that transcript directly into any of the AI tools, it'll even save you more time because it doesn't need to analyze the video. At the end of the day, AI is actually not watching the video, it's actually reading the transcript. It doesn't matter whether we're analyzing YouTube videos or anything at all. It's actually looking at the transcript. And so if you just copy and paste that transcript that Loom gives you directly into your AI tool, I find that to be even faster. And then the benefit is I don't then need one that has internet access. So like you mentioned, ChatGPT, sometimes it works on the internet, sometimes it doesn't. If you use the Webpilot custom GPT, it always works. I highly recommend that. But I don't need to do that. Gemini sometimes will go out and use the internet. Sometimes it'll tell you it can't. Claude right now doesn't have internet access, but maybe I want to use Claude because it's probably one of the best creators or writers as far as a tool. If I just give it the transcript, I can feed that directly and it doesn't need internet access and it's super fast and it'll do that for me real quickly.
Gotcha. Okay. Have you ever done it with like audio files? I was just thinking, maybe someone doesn't want to create a video, but they could just, it's kind of an old school way, but they have just like a voice recording on their phone. I'm not sure if you could use that or not.
Yeah, no, actually you can. So inside of ChatGPT, they support something. They have another tool. They don't market much, but it's called Whisper. It works in the background. If you have ChatGPT, you can upload an audio file directly to it and ask it to
Oh, cool.
transcribe that audio file, and it will do so. And then it will work off that transcript again to do the same thing. So yeah, if you just want to use the audio recorder on your phone, that's another great way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, imagine how much time that would save. Like if you're trying to scale your business and you're trying to hire guys, maybe you want to get out of the day to day, even using a video probably be the best way. But even if you want to use an audio recording, if you're going on an inspection, or just an estimate, like talking to yourself and being like, this is what you got to look for, make sure to check this and this and this. You put that into ChatGPT, it's going to create that list for you. And
Absolutely.
from then on, you're going to have a list that you didn't have to type out and sit on a computer forever and type it out. If you're a slow typer, I know that's going to take a while.
Here's another way to do it. I'm going to give a quick sample here and see if this works. I've actually turned on the voice part of ChatGPT on my phone. You can see I'm holding it up to the mic, so hopefully you'll be able to hear it. But ChatGPT, just tell us really quickly, how does the voice feature work? It's thinking now, and it's going to respond here. Let me turn it up so we can hear it.
That sounds interesting. The voice.
I think my internet connection is probably not perfect, but suffice it to say, I can go ahead and it's going to keep going. I can literally just speak to ChatGPT and it will speak back to me. So if you're driving down the road and you're like, oh, I got to deal with this. If you're like me, I always remember things when I'm driving and I can't take notes. I can't do anything. Well, with the voice feature, you literally, it's like talking on your speakerphone. You can talk, it'll talk back to you and it saves all of that as text files. So you can actually be using, a hands-free feature and sharing and talking to ChatGPT in real time. And again, it will literally transcribe what you're saying in real time and give you feedback.
That's awesome. Okay. And now you mentioned you have ADD. I do too. I think a lot of entrepreneurs do.
I agree. I agree.
My mind's always racing, but I mean, do you ever think that it might already do this? It probably does. But if you were to say, like, we keep everything, all our SOPs in Google Docs and on Drive, you think you would be able to say, like, create an SOP based off of this and then save it to a folder in my Drive? Is there anything like that works?
So some of the tools will do that. Google Gemini says that they will do that right now. For all practical purposes, most of them won't automatically save it out to your Google Drive, but they will save it as a PDF, or it's super easy then just to copy and paste it over. One of the things I often do is I'll just literally, Control A to copy the whole thing and go over to my Google Doc and Command V to paste it. And that way it's, easy peasy to do that. There are some integrations out there that can do that, although most of those tools, again, are just using the same thing, but they're adding an automation on. The other thing to remember is that it stores all of your chat history. So Alex, just like if you and I are texting with one another, I can go back and I can look at a text that you sent me 2 days ago. All of your things that you're doing in all the models get saved. So you can go back to them a day later. Or in my case, maybe I'm going to give my VA access to my account, which I do. And it's like, Yvette, hey, I had a chat that I did yesterday about a new SOP for the team when they're out to do repairs. Go grab that and turn that into a document for me. And so I don't have to necessarily do that. It's something really easy that my assistant can help me out with.
Gotcha. Okay. So, I mean, might have touched on this a little bit, but I know you have, what you call the perfect prompting framework. You touched on that a little bit, but I'm not sure. Is there any more like tips or tricks, things you could include in there?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So the first thing I want to remind everybody of is, again, as entrepreneurs, we're getting pitched things all the time on AI. And there's 2 things you're going to get pitched constantly. And again, like you said, Alex, a lot of us suffer from, bright, shiny object. So don't get caught with every one of those. The 2 things you don't need to be buying. The first is lists of prompts. So when you get that email that says, here's the master list of prompts for fence and deck builders, don't buy it. I don't care who put it out. It's not worth your time and effort. And I've bought hundreds of these lists to help people out over the time. I've got a large Facebook group where we do a lot of this, and I do a lot of testing. The prompts you're going to get are worthless, and I mean that in the best possible way. The other bright, shiny object that you're going to see all the time is, ooh, there's this new tool that's been designed and built for people that are contractors in order to use AI. All they're doing is putting lipstick on top of ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude. They're using, those engines. I just did a demo this morning with a client that was intent on proving to me that they had a brand new AI system. All they did is they have a new interface to it, the AI system. It's nothing different than what I have today. They were telling me, but it can do this and do this. I'm like, yeah, I can do all that in ChatGPT. What's the big deal? And they're like, oh, well, yeah, I guess if you know what you're doing. So what I want to do is I want to share my perfect prompt framework, and it will allow you to know what you're doing. So all you need to do is, or need to know how to do, is how to prompt well. And there's 4 simple steps. And Alex has got actually a PDF of this. So Alex, I don't know if you're going to put it in the notes or whatever, but if you guys want to download this later, since it's a podcast, just 4 simple steps. So step number 1, tell ChatGPT or the model you want it to act. So let's say we're creating this SOP. I'm going to say, I want you to act as an expert writer who specializes in writing standard operating procedures. Remember we said ChatGPT's got massive knowledge. It brings it right in. It's like if my wife walks in and says, we need to talk. Immediately I'm like, uh-oh, what did I do wrong? But if she says, we need to talk about where we're going for dinner tonight, oh, now I know we're going to have a pleasant discussion and I know exactly what we're going to talk about. So ChatGPT is the same way. So step 1, tell it how you need it to act. Step 2, you need to give it some background information. Act like you're talking to Alex or myself or a coworker and say, I need you to create an SOP to help my team when they're going out to do deck repairs at a residential property. So I need you to act as somebody who's an expert in writing SOPs. I need to write an SOP. Step 3 is the specific thing that you want. And in this case, that might be, here's a transcript of an audio file or a video that I did describing the SOP. Please go through and turn this into a comprehensive standard operating procedure. So simple. Tell it how it should act, give it background, tell it what you want it to do. The 4th step is the part that everyone misses, and there's not trying to challenge anybody here, but this will make the responses you get so much better. Remember earlier I said that ChatGPT has been programmed to make assumptions, to fill in the blanks. So you need to give it permission to ask you questions. So before I end virtually every prompt I do, I add in a statement similar to this, which is, before giving me your best response, please ask me any questions that you have. You go, well, Jonathan, that seems really simple. It is, but now you've given permission for the AI model to ask you questions. And if you forgot to give it some relevant information, by the way, I always forget, so don't feel bad. It'll then ask you and say, hey, in order to really do this, I need this. It's like if Alex and I are collaborating on a project and I forget to tell Alex something, he can then go, hey, Jonathan, what about this? Oh, yeah. He can ask me. Remember, ChatGPT is programmed to assume, so you want to give it permission. So it's 4 steps. Tell it how you want it to act, what format, what type of personality. 2, give it a quick overview of what you want it to do. 3, ask it specifically what your question is, or give it the task, assign it the task. And number 4, give it permission to ask you questions. If you guys follow that prompt framework, I'm promising you, and we've done challenges in my group and everything else, we have yet, knock on wood, I got a wood desk, we've yet to find a prompt, a task that needs to be completed that we can't put into that framework that doesn't give us a good response. So just follow that framework and you guys will be able to get anything done that you need. Sometimes better than others, okay, it's not perfect, but that will get you so close so quickly, and it'll save you tons of time and save you tons of money, because you don't need to buy all these prompt guides and tools and everything else.
Yeah, no, that's super, super helpful. And that alone, I mean, is going to take anybody pretty far with AI and get, a lot of use, a lot of gains with efficiency, I would say, get a lot smarter and a lot quicker on different tasks. So I know that you mentioned there's 4 different ones. I've only heard of ChatGPT and Gemini. I didn't even know there was 2 other ones, but which one would you recommend, for fence or deck builders if they were like, I want to start doing this more, where would you say to go?
Good questions. I think if I was starting off and I didn't know where to go, the first thing I would do, Alex, is I would start by going to ChatGPT. I would buy that first. And yes, I'm going to ask you to subscribe. It's $20 a month. I don't make any money on this, guys. But if you've got Netflix at home or Disney or anything else, spend the $20 a month because you get access to so many advanced features. It's well worth it. With ChatGPT, you get access to create content, the SOPs, the emails, all those things we're talking about. You also get access to create images. They have a built-in image generator, so you can create images. You get access to the voice tool that I just showed you, so you can talk to it. You get access to what they call vision, which means imagine going and taking a picture. Alex has got a great background there of a beautiful home with a pool and a fence and a deck. Imagine being able to take a picture of that and have it describe that so that you could include that backyard as part of your proposal. It can do that. It literally can analyze pictures and do that.
Wow.
All of that stuff. Plus, we haven't even talked about something called custom GPTs, which are like apps for your phone that are available for ChatGPT that allow you to do all kinds of things. Alex mentioned Web Pilot earlier. This is one that gives you direct web access, and there's thousands of those out there. You get all of that for $20 a month. It's so well worth it. Don't even bother doing the free plan. You can, but don't just, if you're in business, spend the $20. It will save you so much time. It'll pay for itself, I'm going to guess, in the first hour that you're using it. It's literally that valuable. So that's where I'd start, Alex. There are 3 others. I mentioned Google Gemini. If you are already using some of Google's products, they give you that for free. In my opinion, it's not as good as ChatGPT, so I do recommend ChatGPT over it. The third one is Claude by Anthropic. It is probably, in my mind, the best tool for writing things like SOPs and that, but it's only a little bit better than ChatGPT. It's not like it's worlds better than ChatGPT. And again, that's another $20 subscription. So you probably don't need that to get started with. My current favorite that I use, but I still recommend ChatGPT first if you're starting off, is a tool called Perplexity. And Perplexity.ai is essentially an AI-based search engine. It's what Google should have done for AI. You know, when we go to search Google, it gives us this huge list, Alex, of sites we can go visit. Well, what Perplexity does, it does that same thing, but it also then analyzes those and gives us an answer. So I used an example the other day. If I was going to make lasagna for dinner, I needed a lasagna recipe. And I said, what's the best lasagna recipe? Google's going to give me 10 or so sites to go to, maybe a YouTube video to watch. Perplexity did that same thing, but it also then gave me a recipe, which I thought was really cool and it saved me time. With Perplexity, you can use ChatGPT, you can use Claude, you can use other models that are out there. And so it is my current go-to because of the way it works, but it's a little more advanced. So if you're getting started, while Perplexity is amazing in its pro plan, if you're getting started, start with ChatGPT. I think that's your best value, and I think you'll see an immediate return on investment.
Okay. Yeah, great. That would have been my guess. You would say. I know Gemini is kind of close, I guess, but ChatGPT has exceeded my expectations for everything I do, and I think anything for fencing or decking, you would probably be able to accomplish, most things with it too, especially. But yeah, it's only $20 a month, and it's fun. I think most people.
It's a lot of fun.
Like when you get in there and see what it spits back out, it'll just amaze you. I mean, it amazes me all the time, but I mean, just like responding to emails, if you just say, I want it to be witty, or you want it to be fun or exciting, you will be blown away by how witty it actually is and like how fun the email is. I mean, when I first started doing it, it sounded what I would have expected of like the top copywriter that I could ever find is what spit back out. I mean, it just absolutely blew my mind. So there's plenty of stuff with that. I mean, Jonathan, we're kind of nearing towards the end. I mean, is there any additional nuggets of wisdom or anything else you'd like to share to listeners?
I think more than anything else, I want to encourage you just to try it. The next time you've got an email you need to write, an SOP, or you've just got a question about something, it's also a great training tool. So if you want to learn about something, just ask ChatGPT. It'll give you tremendous information. It's a great way to learn. It's also a great way to, maybe you've got a new staff member and you need to teach them some best practices. ChatGPT can do that. And it can do it right, so to speak, out of the box. In other words, we can just sign up and we can do that right away. So more than anything, Alex, I just want to encourage everybody, try it today. grab your phone, grab your computer, wherever you're at, and try it. Just give it a try and see how it works. And then I think you'll quickly get hooked. Like Alex said, not only is it effective, it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to add a little like asterisk to this too. If you are thinking, to use it for like website content, if you're doing SEO, that is the one thing you got to be careful with. So you can absolutely use it to kind of brainstorm and come up with ideas. But the last thing you want to do is just say, write me a blog post on this and just copy it into your website. So it's great for everything. It's even great for getting content ideas. And I think that'll grow over time, and we'll see where it is in a year or so. But for now, just be careful. You want to make sure you have that human element when you edit the content. You don't want to just post it on there, because Google will be able to figure that out, and it's not going to rank the content. And it's not going to have the effect that you think. So great for, coming up with a blueprint, but shouldn't just be the final result that you copy and paste. But emails, if it's perfect, you like it exactly how it is, you can. There's no, I mean, you'll probably be able to edit a little bit to make it sound perfect. It might not be 100% accurate, but you won't at least get penalized for, emails and like ad copy. So,
well, Alex, you bring up a really good point. If I can take just another half second here.
Of course.
AI amplifies existing skill. AI is not going to make me a great deck builder or a great fence builder, because I don't know how to do that. You guys are the experts at that. And AI is going to amplify your skill to do that. In the same way, if you're not an expert marketer, just like Alex said, it can help out. You want some social media ideas because you don't know what to post on social media today, ask it to give you some ideas. That's okay. But if you haven't started creating the content and you don't have the experience to do that, to make sure, as Alex said, that Google's not going to penalize you and things like that, you're playing with fire. Just like I'd be playing with fire if I asked ChatGPT to tell me how to build a deck, because it's going to miss something that you guys know that I don't know anything about. So absolutely, really good point. It amplifies existing skill and experience.
Yep, exactly. So thanks for adding that too. But that's pretty much all the questions I had for Jonathan. I hope everyone got a lot of value out of this. I'm sure you did. Both of us just would encourage you to at least test it out. I mean, it's not going anywhere. So everybody's going to be kind of piling on this train. The earlier you do it, the more time you're going to save, money you're going to save. It's a really valuable thing. So I recommend just going at least checking it out and seeing what you think. So Jonathan, definitely want to thank you for coming on here and sharing all this. It was great to hear from an actual expert on AI and someone that's so involved in that side of things.
Well, thank you for having me. I love adding value, and I hope this did. So thank you so much.
Yep, absolutely. And going forward with the F&D Mastery Podcast, I'm gonna continue to reach out to people and find useful industry experts. Whether it's fence and deck builder or a supplier or someone an expert in AI. I'm just trying to think of new ways that can really help you guys out and to help make your businesses better and make more money. So we'll be doing that, releasing podcasts about every week. And if you do have any questions about marketing, feel free to reach out to us at Fence and Deck Marketers too, where we do everything from websites to SEO, social media, Facebook ads, Google ads, pretty much everything. So if you ever just want to talk about that, or you just want to talk about AI, you can give Jonathan a call or you give us a call. We'll be happy to talk about it. So that's it for today. Again, Jonathan, thanks for joining, and we'll see you guys on the next one.